How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. This is a show about wrestling, and this is a new segment that we will return to periodically called Fully Loaded Questions. Now, you might have checked out some of our other videos, Stupid Questions, where we answer right off the top of our head. This involves questions that we have a little bit of time to prepare for, and for good reason. So, our first one, and I initially thought this was going to be a lengthy topic, but I don't know that it will be a lengthy topic. But it did take a little bit of research, and that is, what is the best WWE non-Big Four pay-per-view? And Leonard and I talked in a previous episode about how we weren't going to include we weren't going to include In Your House, I should say. Those were basically one after the other, and I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily count it. If people out there think that In Your House on its own should be counted, please let me know. But there were a couple of In Your House events where the title of that In Your House did go on to become its own pay-per-view, recurring pay-per-view. So that was the question posed to Leonard. What is the best WWE non-Big Four pay-per-view? So we are not including WrestleMania, Royal Survivor Series, or
SummerSlam.
Slam. What am I? Yeah, I'm brain farting. So yes, none of those events are included, and so we had to look back and see which events jumped out at us as being the best. And before I give my criteria of what I looked at, since this question was given to Leonard, I am going to let him start.
Okay, well, after looking at the list of all the pay-per-view names that they've used over the years, I think the winner was pretty obvious to me. I went with King of the Ring. This was the first regular pay-per-view WWE used after establishing the Big Four. It was kind of a stopgap between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, and a pay-per-view with a unique gimmick like Survivor Series and Royal Rumble, and one that could really elevate a talent to the next level when used properly, and it often did. The tournament became something people look forward to every year and wanted to see how it went, like the Rumble. It's an event that has had some iconic moments over the years. The coining of Austin 316 came from this. Hogan losing to Yokozuna and leaving WWE for a decade. Awesome matches. Just to name a few, Bret Hart versus Kurt Hennig in 93, Owen Hart versus 1-2-3 Kid in 94. Those were tournament matches. Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon in a street fight in 01, Undertaker versus Triple H in 02, and of course the Hell in a Cell from 98, Undertaker versus Mankind.
Well, wow, I find that interesting. See, I did not know what his pick was going to be, so I wasn't sure if we were going to have the same pick, and we do not have the same pick, which makes this more interesting. So first, I'll respond to your pick as King of the Ring. So it is an easy answer to come up with King of the Ring, because for a while that was the kind of unnamed fifth of the Big Four, right? Because there was a lot of weight given to the King of the Ring, and for good reason. Leonard just mentioned a bunch of the reasons, a lot of iconic moments, and for a while the people that would win that tournament would go on to bigger and better things. It was a huge rocket push for anybody that you could see the company was invested in. The reason I didn't pick it is because I think you can limit those iconic moments and where it was really focused on as a big pay-per-view from 93 to 99 maybe, and maybe 93 on its own and being the first one, and then 95 to 99 specifically, where it really every person that won it really meant something, and it was a big deal. But then after that, you would start to see winners that really didn't go on to be anything that spectacular, and it stopped in 2002 all the way up until 2015. It came back as its own pay-per-view, and then they brought it back as strictly kind of a side thing when Corbin won. And that was basically just because they had nothing other else for him to do at the time. Why not make him a king and give him that gimmick? And that's kind of where I feel like it is now. Like we want to have a King of the Ring, and it's like we just want to give that gimmick to someone. It's a King and Queen of the Ring coming up, by the way. They're still going to do it this year. And it's like we need to give that gimmick to somebody, and that gimmick historically has proven to be the shits for anybody not named Jerry Lawler. So anyway,
well, that gimmick is outside of the pay-per-view. So you're saying the gimmick sucks, but the gimmick is not the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view is the pay-per-view.
Yeah. So like what I mean by that is like they have the ceremony with somebody given the crown, and then a lot of times what happens is that person goes on to be named, King Sheamus, which Sheamus did it for a little bit, or King Corbin or whoever. Like they try to give that as part of their character, which nowadays I don't think adds to a character. I think it is a sign of we don't have anything for that person.
I agree with that on the gimmick, but that's not the question you asked. The question you asked was pay-per-view, best string of pay-per-views. And if you look at the pay-per-views, and you said yourself, oh, well, it was pretty good up to about 99. So you're saying it was good except for the last two. And I gave two good matches.
Oh, yeah.
From 01 and 02.
Absolutely. You made your case very well. Again, I considered this one, but the reason I didn't go with it is because I felt like they didn't stay with it. It was a shame they didn't stay with it. I wish they would have. But it started to lose its effect in terms of the tournament part of it. Now, in terms of the
part of it,
in terms of the iconic moments, I think you could probably put this one as the best answer, just based on Stone Cold winning King of the Ring and the Foley Taker Hell in the Cell, which are two of the most iconic moments that there is, and including one of my favorite matches, Shane and Angle in that street fight. So there's a lot of great matches in King of the Ring. It has a very good legacy. So what I went with, and so I'll just show my criteria here. So I looked at card quality and match quality, storyline and build to that event, and overall impact. Those were kind of the three things I was looking at. And I initially veered off of this choice, but at the end of the day, I kind of had to go with it, which is Backlash. Now, we just talked about Backlash, and I initially wasn't going to go with it because it is so close to WrestleMania. And, for a while there, it was just kind of a continuation of WrestleMania, to the point now where they just literally call it WrestleMania Backlash. But based on its longevity, it's one of those events that you always have an eye on as to what they're going to do with, like what storylines from WrestleMania will we see continue on to Backlash. And the first one, for example, they had Stone Cold and The Rock in a no holds barred match with Shane as the special guest referee. That was Backlash 99. And you look at, there's always at least some good matches on the Backlash card, even if they are rematches. You would have the year after that, you would have Triple H and The Rock. They would have Triple H versus Hollywood Hogan for the undisputed title in 2002. You would have Goldberg versus The Rock. You would have a big rematch in 2004 with Benoit and Shawn Michaels and Triple H. And the list goes on. There's a lot. I mean, this pay-per-view has been going on for a long time. And what's weird, though, is that after 2009, it wouldn't return until 2016. And if you look at 2009 was another pay-per-view I was going to go with. I was looking at very closely was Judgment Day. And Judgment Day I was looking at closely because of the card quality. There's always Judgment Day would usually occur around the May period, and it would be Judgment Day where you would finally see the champion they went with at WrestleMania is now involved in a big feud. Like he's now, like whoever it is involved in a big feud that's been going on. So Judgment Day I like a lot too, but that also stopped in 2009. And what the reason I bring that part of it up is because I think it's fascinating that from 2010 to 2016, Vince went through like a tantrum of sorts with pay-per-view names. It's just weird that some of these have not lasted or went away and then came back. His whole approach to pay-per-view names is somewhat perplexing to me. I don't know how you feel about it, but
I never really thought about it. You know, some come, some go, some stick around. Pay-per-view names are always kind of odd because you want something to, you know, attract attention, but it's not necessarily the selling point. Great Balls of Fire, for instance. But
yeah, yeah,
other than that, back. I wouldn't have gone with Backlash for a reason you mentioned that it seems like it's a WrestleMania rehash.
right,
It's a lot of just taking the fallout and seeing can we squeeze some more juice out of what we just did,
right.
as opposed to resetting the gears for say SummerSlam, coming up. So yes, you do get good matches out of Backlash because you're getting either retreads or slight tweaks from the WrestleMania matches, which should be your best matches of the year. But that's one reason why I didn't look at Backlash is because it just feels like this is the WrestleMania leftover.
And do you think that like it's good that they went with the name WrestleMania Backlash, or do you think they just should have stuck with Backlash on its own?
From a marketing standpoint, I think WrestleMania Backlash makes sense
Because
because
they're finally admitting what it is, what you just said, which
yeah,
is that it's part B or whatever of
yeah.
WrestleMania.
You can't say WrestleMania retread or WrestleMania revisited, but Backlash is kind of a cool name, and it does give that connotation of it's going back or it's the fallout from
Right.
WrestleMania happened, and now this is what's next.
Which in a weird way is why I think it's an important pay-per-view. Uh,
Mhm.
the fallout to this big event, like the second part of what we just saw, what will happen now that all these things have gone down at WrestleMania. Um, it has what do I want to say? It has like 18 entries here, so has happened 18 times over the years. And to a point, I kind of stopped researching after a certain point. Like after I want to say like the 2015 area, like I didn't really look at the pay-per-views after that because like they would really play fast and loose with which ones they kept and which ones they didn't. They tried the Great American Bash for a while,
Yeah.
and then they just went with the Bash. No Mercy was one that was around for a while as well.
No Mercy was my second place.
Yeah, No Mercy. No Mercy has a lot of good history on it as well.
Yeah, I did go with it because it hit hard but for a shorter period of time.
Right.
I marked a couple here. You had the ladder match at 99 between Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys, which I think elevated both of them. You had the amazing 3 stages of hell match between Austin and Triple H at 01. You had Edge and Christian versus Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit for the tag titles in 02. And the most important thing, No Mercy had its own video game on the N64.
That's true. And so was the 3 stages of hell No Mercy or was that No Way Out?
I'm pretty sure it was No Mercy because it was on the list.
Well,
Unless I crossed No Way Out and No Mercy when I was researching.
well, while you
I
research
will
it,
try to look this up.
I'll just say because when you mentioned that match, I thought about No Way Out, and obviously No Way Out is a pay-per-view that has been around for a long time and lasted very long. So one would say, what about that one? Well, that pay-per-view to me has proved itself to be basically a filler pay-per-view. We already know where we're going at WrestleMania, and we need to have matches at this event to hold fans off until we get to WrestleMania. Largely, No Way Out has proven to mean very, very little. At times, they have stipulations of somebody puts their number one contender spot on the line or what have you. But most of the time, I thought No Way Out was just a filler pay-per-view, and I was not very interested in it. So, has it had good matches over the years? Absolutely. But that's why, like, I think it's more interesting to look at the fallout of WrestleMania rather than here's what's going to happen right before WrestleMania, because we already know that they have a plan in mind, and we're going to get to that plan no matter what. So here's this series of matches. Hopefully, you enjoy them. What do you think about No Way Out, Leonard?
I was trying to find, for some reason, I can't seem to find the right card for either. But the first three stages of hell between Triple H and Stone Cold, I have the date. It was February 25th of 2001. So that would have been No Way Out, not No Mercy. So when I was looking at both those names back and forth, I got those mixed up.
Probably the best match in No Way Out history.
Yes. So No Way Out. Yeah, and this actually gets me to another thing I wanted to mention was the ones I don't like, because now that February slot is the Elimination Chamber.
Right.
And yeah, that February slot is basically we're trying to get to Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, but we can't give away any of the good WrestleMania stuff.
Right.
So it's second place stuff or running in place until we get to WrestleMania type stuff. So, but what I also want to mention, so now they use the Elimination Chamber for that, because they can use that to set up the secondary title match or something else. And it's not that I necessarily don't like Elimination Chamber, but I don't like the pay-per-views that are about a gimmick match only. And you can say Survivor Series is that, Royal Rumble is that, but that's a little bit different.
TLC.
Yeah, TLC, Hell in a Cell, Elimination Chamber, all these matches. The match existed first, and then they built a pay-per-view around it. Unlike Survivor Series, and Royal Rumble, which were its own thing from the start.
Yeah,
these
and you know
are
what?
match types that got their own.
I would say I like TLC better than Extreme Rules. If I was rating those two on their own, like Extreme Rules is probably one of my least favorite, because especially the way what it turned into. Like they kept calling it Extreme Rules, and it became so non-extreme. Like, or they would have these just weird matches that just meant nothing, like a chain match or a chairs match. So yeah, Extreme Rules I was not a fan of either. What did you think about the Cyber pay-per-views, Cyber Sunday, Taboo Tuesday?
I always thought those were rigged.
Yeah, and like what Bruce Pritchard has said over the years is that they weren't necessarily quote unquote rigged, but they were heavily, swayed so that the crowd picked certain things.
Right. It was like, who do you want to see Steve Austin fight? The Rock, Mantar, the Brooklyn Brawler, your grandma. I mean, it was always, like one good pick and then two lousy ones.
Yeah. They did try that for a while, but
yeah. And I would say the other ones I don't like are the Crown Jewels, because those are
glorified house shows.
They're glorified house shows, and they take place like outside of regular continuity.
Yeah, they do.
They're like their own pocket dimension.
Yeah.
And they always bring back people like Shawn Michaels. I'm never wrestling again. Goes to Crown Jewel, puts on a shit show.
You can't tell me he doesn't regret doing that.
yeah, he's got to. So I mean, I get the fact that, and you know what? Go do your glorified house show. Doesn't mean you have to put it on TV.
Right. Yeah, I agree. This one, I guess, will be an exception. The fact that they're doing Night of Champions there, and it's going to be the end of a tournament.
Yeah.
The new world champ. So,
well, the Best of the World tournament was over there, wasn't it?
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
The Shane McMahon thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because they had to give these special things and then give it a big trophy and make it seem like, I guess they were just servicing the, political heads of Saudi Arabia. Like, see how important this is? We're creating this trophy. Like, they never did a best in the world again after that.
No, never.
Yeah. So let us know what you thought of this question. What the best big non-Big Four pay-per-view was. We didn't include WCW, obviously, because that would provide other answers automatically. But perhaps that'll lead to a question about WCW down the road.
Yes, maybe we can look at their best paper, outside Starrcade, I don't know. They didn't feel like they had a big four. I mean, there's Great American Bash, there was Starrcade. Maybe you could say Slamboree, maybe you could say Super Brawl, but it wasn't quite the same thing.
No, I agree. So yeah, let us know what you thought of this question, and check out our other episodes, Stupid Questions, Segment Surgery, Random Match Reviews, our full-length episodes. We are available wherever you listen to podcasts as well. For Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next time.